Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We had this freaking collab with Fate, and we thought that it was going to be the greatest thing that we've ever seen in our lives, and for some reason, we were incorrect. They did not deliver the way they should have delivered. They did not improve the way they should have improved. They had a year to do this, and what did we get? So we got a half-baked showcase of a collab that is more or less unacceptable for a company the size of HoYoVerse. Now, there was some good stuff in it, but there's just a lot of underwhelming stuff in it as well. And that's problematic. Before we dive in, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps out tremendously. Thank you very much. So, of course, as you can see here, we did get the Honkai Star Rail collab here. And, of course, we have Archer and Saber here. They're just, like, nice and looking and whatnot. Very strong characters. And I think that's where the big part of this collab went, was these two characters. And really making them balanced and making them worthwhile pulls and enjoyable characters to actually pull for. Which, I mean, I guess technically speaking makes sense because you want people to spend money, and quite frankly, the story for the collab does not pull money. What pulls money is pulling on the characters in the gacha banner, right? So I guess it makes sense for a business perspective, and you really saw it in the story. Because the story was, yeah, considering y'all had a year to do this, was a little underwhelming. And the big thing about the story, especially for English-speaking people, is that there is no voiceover for Saber. Or Archer, I believe. There's no voiceover. Which really is baffling to me, because how do you have your first collaboration ever, and it's with Fate, a huge series that has been running for decades, that is very well known, and somehow you do not manage to find an English voice actor? I don't even care if it's the same English voice actor that previously was used or whatever. If you find a way to make this thing voicing English, your two largest languages is obviously Mandarin, Chinese, and English. Those are your two biggest language markets. How do you somehow have a collab with Fate? You introduced it a year ago, and you somehow still manage to not get this English voice acting situation figured out for Saber? I don't really understand that, y'all. I don't understand that. I mean, it probably had something to do with the whole strike and all that stuff. So that's probably what it was. We all know how that goes. And thank sweet heavens that they got rid of the freaking voice actors in Genshin Impact that were causing those issues. At least most of them anyway. They didn't get rid of all of them. We'll see how that works. But they got rid of the problematic ones. But probably, I guess, it's what this revolved around. Had to do something with the strike. But yeah, dude, you get someone else. You find a way to hire someone else. I don't know what the contract terms is, with if it's the actual voice of Saber, and so it has to go through the studios that handle Fate. So it's like, or what's going on there. But look, you need to make something work out here, because the fact that there is no English voice for this in the story, completely ruining the immersiveness of the story for your English-speaking community. How do you fumble not having an English voiceover for this? Yeah, a year to do it. It's absolutely atrocious. And you might be like, well, just play it on Japanese. I assure you that the majority of English-speaking people play the game on English. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm an anime person, and I love watching anime and subtitles. I pretty much only watch anime and subtitles, so I fully understand. I like watching movies for movies and subtitles too, because it provides the real particular context and the real expressions that you get there. I understand. I'm not against subtitles at all. But realistically speaking, I'm just being realistic here, because we're not in the realm of fairy tales and fairies and fireflies. Kids still can't believe your eyes, 2 million fireflies. You know, we're not in that realm. We're not in that realm, okay? We are in the real realm. And realistically speaking, the majority of these English-speaking people play the game in English. And the fact that there was no English voiceover for this, for Saber, it messed it up. Because I mean, there were some nice cutscenes in here, y'all. There were some really nice cutscenes where you pull out the sword, and at the end, you know, some really fun and cool cutscenes. Had some nice music playing during That ending cutscene too with the guitar. I wish I was voiced in English. But the fact that there is no voiceover for the English one just really was just like, bro, wow, this is kind of silly. And of course, there's no voiceover for when you're actually playing her. So when she uses her ultimate, there's no voice. It's just you see her mouth move. She's saying something. I don't know what she's saying. I don't know. Maybe she's speaking in sign language. And I just don't see it. Who knows? Maybe the world may never know. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a lollipop? The world may never know. But either way, we're not seeing it here. We are not seeing it here with this collab. And I think that's one of the biggest problems here. Then the second thing, of course, is the story itself. And what are we doing in Pinacone in these same areas that we have been in 1,000 times before? And why is the whole story centered around this? That story was lazy as all booty cheeks. I don't know why we got that story the way it did. Well, I guess I told you at the start of the video. Because the story is not what pulls money. The characters, the gacha is what pulls money. That's why they have this, they have this, hold on. That's why they have this right here, this free Lightcone. This free Lightcone. Free Lightcone. Just for 200 pulls. Free Lightcone. Boy, there's a lot of state mind saying that stuff. What does that sound like? The NVIDIA CEO. 4090 performance at $400 or whatever you said. When the 50 series release, 4090 performance. Talking about the 5070. Like, bro, if you don't get out here with that nonsense, it's completely just misrepresentations. But nonetheless, the story and the fact that we were on Pinacone was just like, bro, what is going on here? It felt so lackluster. Like, why are we in these zones? It didn't feel like there was any real... It felt like the heroic spirits, the collab itself, Saber and Archer and Lancer and whatnot, they did not have the involvement that they should have had for a collab, I felt. I felt it was very underwhelming in that regard. And their involvement was not the way it should have been. And then the fact, just that we were on Pinacone, in these same hallways that we were always in, that we were in a whole bunch. Pinacone in itself is already an area where you completely go through the same areas like 10 times over. Because of the structure of how that story was ran. And it's like a dreamscape, because of how it was ran. So we've already been there way too much in the first place. Now we're back there again. The only little real unique area we get is when we go to the past and go through Saber's history. And then even at that, that's just like one little road that you just veer on, just keeps you on it. And you're in there for like all 30 seconds. Like, honestly speaking, like, you should have put us in that area or something. Like, you didn't have to create like a whole new map, a whole freaking Amphoreus or something like that. No, but you could have created some sort of area that was not Pinacone. Like, bro, like, if it would have been so much more engaging, so much more of a fun experience if we would have had something in that regard where we were actually, in a different map. Or maybe we were bad. We stay in the memory for longer or whatnot. It just felt super underwhelming, and it felt way too familiar with it being Pinacone. Seeing these characters pop up out of nowhere, and it's really the characters not really having much meaning in there, and just kind of almost feeling like halfway a fan service, and not so much a collab. Because, like I said, the involvement of the heroic spirits didn't feel really as engaging as it should have been. And it just didn't really leave a lasting impression, put it like that. It did not leave a lasting impression. The only thing that left a lasting impression was really those cutscenes that we saw, where you pull out the sword and then the final cutscene. The rest of it was not very much of anything. Like, you go, the part where you go back to the Herta space station, you're on there for way too long, for no reason.
I'm exhausted. I feel like I can't even think anymore.
Like, it was just like, bro, what are we doing here? Well, it's like a time sink. It's just like filler episodes. It's like Naruto. It's like Naruto filler episodes. Back in the old days, Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, dude, those were notorious for the filler episodes. Like, dude, I remember back in those days, we were waiting a week for a new episode to come out in Japan. I was watching it in Japan, right? Because it took like 3 years for it to come to the West. And I remember, like, bro, like 30 episodes of filler episodes. You realize that's 30 weeks. That's like a whole free, you know what I'm saying, bro? That's a long time. It's a long time for filler episodes to be running. I'm just saying. That's what this felt like. That's what this felt like for the story there. So I really wish that they could have improved there. This is definitely was not a collab that met the hype that it was hyped up to be. For sure, definitely wasn't. And then of course they had this little event right here with the combat event. So the combat event here is also another different thing, and it's the Holy Grail War. And this thing right here is really the easiest way to put this is that it feels a little lackluster. It feels like the Bellabot fighting event. Like there's nothing really overly unique about this. It's kind of, I mean, it has its own unique mechanics, and it's kind of like the buffing mechanics that we saw in Genshin Impact recently with the little event with the fungus and the mobs on the board. You can level them up by getting multiple copies of them. It's kind of like that. Kind of operates in that same manner. So that's kind of cool, but ultimately it just feels like the Bellabot fighting event. Quite frankly, that's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like anything over the top or anything like completely fresh or completely new or anything of the sort like that. So I don't really rank that too highly on the scale of, oh wow, that's a great collaboration item, because it's not. It's just, it doesn't feel that way at all in any way, shape, or form. But ultimately, of course, the best things about this were Saber and War Archer. Of course, these characters are very good. They're very strong, and they will be great for a long time to come to be used with. That's the best thing about the collab, and like I said, that's what they wanted to do, because that's what's going to get you to spend money. And we saw that very clearly with the poor Lackluster story. But at any rate, what do y'all think about the collab? Let me know down in the comments below how y'all feel about the collab, if y'all enjoyed it, what you would want more from it, what you were expecting, and what wasn't ultimately delivered. So let me know down below in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe, y'all, and I will see y'all in the next one. Good luck with all your future pulls and everything of the sort. If you're still working on getting Saber and Archer, then good luck with all that and just your future pulls in general. Of course. Holla. See you in the next one.
Spike content.